Hi guys. So today I want to talk a little bit about how the limitation in one area of your body, specifically I want to talk today about the shoulders, but how the limitation in one area of your body can have a chain effect down to other areas and create dysfunction. And that becomes most apparent when you start to do more dynamic motions, more extreme exercises. What I want to demonstrate today is a lot of people want to do pull-ups and they want to hang and they want to do that as like a great exercise. But what you often see is people end up in a little bit like this position when they're hanging. And so what's wrong with that? Well, what you might notice is that my lower back is actually really compressed. My front ribs are really pushed forward. And the angle in my shoulder is actually pretty short. And so what does that mean? That means I'm actually, if I try to do a bunch of pull-ups that way, I'm actually going to be straining my lower back, decreasing the strength of my core, and not really getting the intended effect. I might end up with a lot of pain there. So why does that happen? Well, mainly it's because there's really nothing in our daily life that requires us to use the full range of motion of the shoulder joint. You know, we're not swinging from trees like our monkey ancestors used to do. So here's a couple of exercises that you can do to start to open up that range of motion of the shoulder and then, be more stable in the exercises and the activities you wish to do. So I would come to a wall. And I demonstrated this in a previous video when I talked about trying to straighten the upper spine with head ramping and to decrease your hyperkyphosis. We want the same anchor to happen. So we want these bottom ribs to sink down neutral to the pelvis, which means that these back ribs, the lower back ribs here, are going to touch the wall. Your head and shoulders can come off the wall, especially if you have some rounding in your spine. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to raise our arms to the sky. But a lot of people will just tend to do this. And you notice how my whole back left the wall? We don't want that to happen. We want to keep the ribs down and start to reach the arms up. And at a certain point, that shoulder joint is going to stop on its own. And that's the exercise. You just want to hang out, so to speak, at that place. And over time, as you just keep reaching, but you keep dropping those ribs down, you'll start to pull open this shoulder joint. Now that's a very light way to do it. And if you're playing with that for a while and you're not getting a lot of effect, here's another little more dynamic way to do that same thing, is laying down on the floor. So I'm going to come to the ground. And I'm going to lay all the way down to the ground. And notice, again, do those ribs really pop up off the ground? If so, I'm going to use this nice half cylinder and put it under my head. That helps drop them down. And then I'm going to use something with a little bit of weight. And I'm going to take this medicine ball here. It's about 10 pounds. I'm going to hold it in my hands. You want something, with a nice, decent size. It doesn't have to be too heavy. A little bit of weight. And I'm going to reach my arms up. Now, the main key with this is to keep your ribs down on the ground. And this becomes like a really great abdominal core exercise. And what we're going to do is, as you drop your ribs, is begin to extend the arms back over the head and let that weight carry your arms to where the joints want to stop. And that's where that effort is going to be. And that's where the tendency is going to be to really pop those ribs up to get the arms down. You don't want that to happen. You want to keep the ribs down as you let the weight of the thing that you're carrying, in my case this ball, really start to pull open the arm joint. Great abdominal exercise, great stretch of the arms. And you can move. You don't have to be there steady. You don't have to hold it. You can kind of go up. You can go back. You can play with sides to sides. But as long as you keep the mid to lower back stable. So you can also just, again, go to the real deal and do the same hanging. Bring your arms up, but try not to default back to that place and do the same things you may have practiced with those previous exercises. Drop the ribs all the way down and try to keep them in line with the belly so that you are not destabilizing your belly, but you're stabilizing, decompressing your lower back, and stretching the shoulders. And that way you'll get a stronger core, you'll get more open shoulders, and then on top of that, you just need to incorporate more of that into your daily life. Find things that require you to reach overhead, that require you to hang. And as you keep practicing, well, then you'll start to open up that range of motion again. So, good example of how limitation in one area can affect the health of another seemingly unrelated area. So anyway, have fun moving more, and I hope you get to play with that, and I'll see you next week.